Richie, welcome. Today we're going to talk about, well, first, I got the squeaky chair, as we discussed on multiple episodes. But the Nintendo Switch had a press release conference recently, and we're going to talk about it.
An announcement for
That's Justin.
2017. What's up?
Richie's, and hello. Say something.
Hey.
That's what Richie sounds
That's
like.
Richie, everybody.
So you are the biggest Nintendo fan that I know personally, I think.
I would call myself a fanboy.
And Justin has introduced us through himself. So you guys are really closer than I am. But today we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch.
And everything that was announced.
And everything that was announced, and we're going to talk about the conference itself. And now all three of us have watched the conference separately from each other.
Sure.
Yeah. So we're all fresh or not fresh. But I have plenty of notes. You have notes. Me and Justin have notes.
All right.
Sure. It's my nice way of saying that Justin doesn't have any notes, but I do.
Whoa. I added notes onto your notes. So now we're even.
Okay, so I guess the conference in general, Richie, what were your thoughts on the whole thing as a whole? On just the conference part itself.
I don't think Nintendo's very good at PR. I don't think we obviously watched the English version.
Yeah.
I don't think the translators had a lot of enthusiasm.
They were very monotone the whole time. Right. It was awesome.
Yep.
And the Splatoon guy, that was a little bit weird.
Dude, he was going crazy.
I know. He was like, we've done so much octopus research in the squids.
Yeah, if you're going to go in on something like that, that's fine. But you got to be, like, all in.
Yeah, because he started and he's like, I'm from the Squid Lab. And then he didn't mention it the rest of the time. And there's, like, no references to it.
And then he, like, dabbed or something.
Then he dabbed and, like, did different, like, poses with the guns.
Yeah.
Like, it was funny.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
I don't know.
I think the conference was informative, but it was not super fun to watch.
What do you think about the way that they presented it? So, in contrast to this, I would say PlayStation Experience, PSX 2016. I don't know if you watched that or not.
I did not.
What about E3 in general? Just like E3 from... So, I guess, to give comments, we've had an episode on PSX.
Yes, we did.
And PlayStation Experience, they started... So, Naughty Dog is one of the biggest and best developers for PlayStation. Their conference started off with a game from them, and it also ended off with a game from them.
Oh.
The ending game, of course, was The Last of Us Part 2.
Which people were, like, flipping
large.
out about.
And you know about that, even though you don't have a PS4.
Right.
And in between all that, there was games and games and games and games and games. The Nintendo Switch, however, started with 1-2 Switch, and then it moved to the punching game,
Arms.
That's it.
and then it moved to Splatoon 2, and then it moved to other stuff.
A lot of third parties.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of like...
Some like smaller games, like I know I saw Square Enix and I was like, oh, and then it was like
Traveler.
Yeah, it was like some awkwardly named 2D.
Now,
pixel
the two best games, I would say, I think we'd all agree, was Super Mario Galaxy, and Super Mario Odyssey, and Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah.
Which we've seen Breath of the Wild before.
I think those two are the biggest names that Nintendo's bringing to the Switch.
Yeah.
Early on.
The biggest, I think,
it's their core
reveal.
franchises.
It is.
Yeah,
really
of course, and you would expect that. But
Followed closely by Splatoon, because that's so much fun. Holy cow, I love Splatoon.
And then they announced that Breath of the Wild is coming out March 3rd, when it was originally going to come out March 27th. Well, originally March 3rd, then March 27th, then it got brought back again to release date. So that's good news for them, because otherwise they won't have a lot on release date. But we'll talk about games more later. I guess the notes I have are kind of in order based on the press conference itself.
Yeah, what it goes through.
So we'll talk about just things in general. But the release date for the Switch, Nintendo Switch, is going to be March 3rd of 2017, retailing at $300 US dollars. What do you think about the price for what we know about it, given the conference, given stuff before the conference and stuff after the conference? $300 for the console itself. What are your thoughts?
I think it's steep to not have like a game with it. So like, for example, I would have put 1-2 Punch. Just like comes with
1-2
Switch. Yeah.
Okay.
1-2 Switch, sorry. I would say 1-2 Switch should just like
Wii Sports.
It's
Yeah.
it's a party game. It's something that you think would come with it.
Yeah.
Now, 1-2 Switch is retailing for cheaper than other games. However, cheaper is still $50. So if you want a game and the Switch, your cheapest is going to be $350. Which, if comparing it to Xbox One and PS4, they have consoles that are cheaper than that currently. Now, those came out 3 years ago. But if you're doing it on a power standard,
They're about the same.
they're more powerful than the Switch. But Nintendo's never really been about power. Nintendo's been about gameplay and art style,
right. And innovation.
and innovation.
Because
Things
I think that's the thing. While $300 might feel a little bit steep from like the gamer's perspective, which we tend to lean towards. I think
The underpaid gamers.
We represent the underpaid, but I think it is kind of a marvel to think of the fact that this is a mobile console that's $300. Like you have 720p resolution, 3 to 6 hours of gameplay off mobile.
Depending on which game you're playing.
Depending on which game you're playing, which is what they said.
Well, so I'm not super big into like the specs,
The hardware.
but the hardware is much smaller and that's expensive compared to, like, if you have a stationary console
Sure.
with spinning discs and this and that, it's going to cost less to do the same thing but smaller.
Right.
And so I'm not going to pretend like I know how much it costs to produce one of these.
You can pretend. Nobody knows.
I know exactly how much these cost to produce.
My expert opinion.
I just can't tell you. It's a non-disclosure.
There.
Yeah.
Nintendo expert?
Yeah. I think 300 is steep to knowing
Really?
that.
There was a leak earlier that said it was going to be around 250 and people said that's kind of what they expected, if not a little high.
I mean-
and then this is $50 more expensive.
For $300, if a game came with it, like a $50
It
game,
would
I'd be
seem worth
happy.
it, sure.
Because I know that I can take this home, spend exactly $300, open it, and do something. But now I'm going to spend $300 and then $300
then another
plus.
$60.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That feels bad.
That
It's
is
bad,
a little
man.
bad.
So the Switch itself, when you buy it in store, is going to include the Switch console, the dock, which is the TV connector, the 2 Joy-Con controllers, which are the 2 things that sit on the side of the screen, either
click into
black
place.
or colored, which is a neon blue and a neon red. And I think those colors look really cool.
Yeah.
A Joy-Con connector, which is it's like the handle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You kind of slide the 2 sides of the console. If you take them off, the joystick parts, you slide them onto this, and it turns it into like what a regular controller would be.
A
close
big old
to.
fat controller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joy-Con straps, which are the things that you slide into the Joy-Con itself, which then straps onto your wrist like a Wii controller would, but it also makes the Joy-Con controller a little bit thicker.
It makes
has
the
the
button.
buttons too,
Yeah.
a little bit easier to click. An AC adapter and an HDMI cord. I don't know how long the HDMI cord is.
If we can use the SNES
remake
remake as a barometer for this, it's going to be like 2 inches.
Yeah. So they remade the SNES, right? And the cord is literally like 2.5 feet long.
It's like 3 feet.
The controller from the box itself.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
So-
we're sitting here on big screen TVs, and we're like,
Yeah, you have to sit right up to it. So they made a big
But
mistake with that. For
still
whatever
a
reason.
crash hit, because that's like such a cool idea. And
Yeah,
people
but that's
loving it.
literally shorter than when it originally released back in the 80s.
Yeah, it's a
or
little
whatever,
goofy.
which is
It is.
weird. So I don't know what the HDMI is going to be, but it's an HDMI, and who doesn't have HDMI cord at this point?
Right.
So that's not a big
We've all
thing
got
to
lots
be
of
worried
them,
about.
Right. And they're pretty cheap now.
There is no region locking on the Switch,
Yay!
which doesn't mean anything to me. I don't
Does not bother me.
explain to
Region
people
locking?
that don't know what it is.
Content is locked to one region specifically.
Can you give me an example of something?
You can only download this character in Japan. You have an example?
Well, yeah. So as a Pokemon fan, there are a lot of like region-specific event Pokemon where it's just like
Sure.
enter this code, you get a Pokemon, but it only works if you're on a Japan
Server
3DS.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there's like other things that don't matter as much. So like when Pokemon X and Y came out, the butterfly Pokemon had different patterns on it based on which region your game was.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Europe one looked different than the US one than the Japan one.
Yeah, slightly different.
Yeah.
So to me, it just brings standardization of everything.
Okay.
So it's like less.
So that should be good for production then.
I think so. It should make production easier, and then also that some people care about the region locking, or like they really want that version of the game,
Yeah.
and so like someone will spend like $100 on Japanese exclusive edition of this game in the U.S. so they can then access all that features, and that takes it out of the equation, which I'm cool with because I like. Why don't we all just get the same thing, guys? Same thing, equality,
I guess.
I suppose.
All right.
Makes sense to me.
We're done. We're good with that. So the Switch itself charges with a USB-C connector
Yeah.
that ships with the console. Now, that sounds good.
does sound
USB-C is where
good.
we're going. However, the only concern I have is I have a Surface Pro that I got from Microsoft Store, and it charges with a standard micro USB. However, it only charges with the standard micro USB that came with the system. I can't charge it with any other micro USB I have.
Oh.
It's the weirdest
Because
thing in
you've
the world.
tried with multiple.
I've tried it with multiple ones.
which is weird.
And I've only ever experienced that with my Surface, and I don't want to experience that with the Switch. Like, I hope you can just charge the Switch with any USB-C.
Yeah, I agree.
But I haven't gotten any confirmation.
Yeah, I'm guessing it just
and I
has
do know that later, when you buy another dock, it adds another charging cord. So I don't know I don't know if that's specific or if it's just whatever.
I can't imagine. If that's the case, that'll be super dumb. Because, like, part of the marketing is, like, you can take this with you, right? And
so you can use your phone charger that's also USB-C.
You would hope so.
Yeah, I don't want to lug around an AC adapter and the Switch. I mean, it's not that much, but it's inconvenience.
Right.
Exactly. So
that's what comes in the box is those couple things. Again, we mentioned no game.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. Like,
disappointment.
I assume there's demos that you can get from the eShop.
Sure.
But
probably.
Are there going to be any demos for the Nintendo Switch on launch day?
Yeah.
Because it's only launching with like 6 games.
I mean, have you noticed demos on the Nintendo Store?
Yeah, they've been doing more and more demos. So, like, Triforce Heroes had a demo. All the Pokemon... Well, the Pokemon games have, like, special demos.
Okay.
Where it's, like, its own little mini story.
I played the demo for Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
That was actually fun.
Especially for, like, the Nintendo intellectual property. They've been doing more demos. So I don't know about launch day or anything like that, though.
So the Switch console itself, to be more specific about things, you can connect up to 8 other consoles via local Wi-Fi for multiplayer games, which is cool. Yeah. So if you're playing Smash, which they haven't announced yet, but I assume Smash is going to be coming, if they have another 8-player battle like they do with Wii U, you'll be able to do that. Mario Kart 8. I don't know how that's going to work with ARMS. I mean, up to 8. I mean, you can do 2. I don't think you can do more battles than just 2 on ARMS.
1v1.
Well,
yeah, I mean, there could be other games, like Mario Kart, I'm sure you could do 8.
Well, FIFA, NBA 2K, it's all local Wi-Fi. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of a cool thing to see.
I know one of my roommate, I was watching this in the living room. I had cast it to my TV.
Yeah.
So they were all ecstatic when they saw that it was translated into English. And they had no idea what was going on. They all blocked out the room. But they did say he was surprised that it wasn't like Bluetooth connected. Like you couldn't Bluetooth to somebody else's.
That's super weird for me.
Which I don't know the science behind any of that stuff. But the fact that you have to have Wi-Fi for it. Some people, like in the commercial for it, they had a bunch of guys out on the basketball court. Then they go down, they sit down at a park bench and start playing against each other. I wonder if that's possible now that we know that it's on Wi-Fi only.
So they say it's local Wi-Fi. So I don't know if that's just translating, and it actually means that you can just connect to each other over wireless.
Yeah.
Or like Bluetooth, or if it actually needs to be Wi-Fi. But everything I've seen is like them out on a park bench.
Yeah.
But maybe that's in like Chicago where they have Wi-Fi.
What about that?
I don't know if it's gonna have Bluetooth or not. It's not. So they're not like definitely not.
I mean, not that I. All I've seen is that multiplayer needs Wi-Fi. Is kind of what I've seen.
So.
From the reports,
there's some way for them to connect, but we don't necessarily know how.
Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are both radio wave protocol things, but Wi-Fi is probably more reliable. So my guess is it's probably. So working at a software company is probably better.
God, you know everything.
So it's probably it's probably better on their part to say like we don't do Bluetooth than to say we do Bluetooth and then like someone like walks like 2 feet away and like lags a whole bunch and they're like, oh, this is awful. Why would they even do this? It's better just to say like, oh, don't do that.
Well, have it like standardized and something that they can depend on. That makes sense. So yeah, so we've talked about price point. We've talked about what comes in the box. I looked up some figures on pre-sales because right after this announcement, GameStop opened up pre-orders, and the announcement.
Can you read that, or you want me to read it?
From GameStop. Here's my quote. I believe I got this off of wasn't Games Radar. It was GameSpot. Retailer GameStop today announced that it sold through all of its Nintendo Switch stock, at least its first batch of systems. Pre-orders opened at GameStop on Friday, January 13th, just hours after the big-time Switch presentation, where the console's price and release date were announced. So their first batch of orders from Nintendo have already been sold, which to me sounds like positive news for the Switch.
Yeah.
Do they have numbers associated with that?
I looked for numbers in the article. I could not find any.
Okay.
So we don't really know how.
I don't remember what it's called, but that NES remake that they did
is also out of stock.
It's also out of stock, but they also
mentioned.
didn't ship any. They didn't produce any.
Sure.
They produced like 500,000 maybe, and there's more people that want to buy it than that.
Which I would assume, though, for a major console release, that they would have I would assume.
I've learned to not assume things about Nintendo.
I know. I've learned to assume things about video game companies in general.
Yeah.
Hello Games. No Man's Sky. So
I respect it.
Yeah, there's that. I'm gonna keep kicking them all year. Hello Games.
All 2017.
As a little side note.
Biannual.
By the way, it seems like positive news. We don't know exactly what that means. I mean, maybe the first order was 5 units, and this is just like,
it's just the.
But I doubt it, right?
At that GameStop.
I doubt GameStop's first order of Nintendo Switch.
I know that's good news.
Would be a lot.
See, that's the good news is that they're sold out already. That brings the demand. But at the same point, if they're lowering supply to raise demand, they're going to need to they're going to up supply eventually.
I think at this point, it's not.
It's really not. They should, and for an opening release like this, I don't think you want to diminish have artificial supply, lack of supply, because this is going to go on the gray market. They're just going to be on eBay for 600. That's silly. They should be putting out as many as they can.
That's what the PS3 did.
Right.
I don't know if you guys remember, but they didn't have a lot of stock, and they also retailed for $600 when it first came out.
I remember.
And they did sell out, but they were selling out on eBay for $1,200, right? But that's because they didn't have enough shipped. So I hope Nintendo doesn't go down that road with the Switch.
Well, it doesn't benefit them to do that.
The thing, I think Nintendo has enough loyalists, like me, I guess, that it's going to be gone. Because the Wii, how long was the Wii hard to find? I think I looked up today, they sold 600,000 units, really, when it came out.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they sold, what we looked it up, 150 million, something like that, units by the end of it all.
No, that's the PS2.
That was the PS2. It was 100 million. That's what it was.
Do you want to know? Because I can look.
It was. I mean, you can look, but I'm pretty sure it was 155 for PS2 and then 100 million for Wii. When I looked at it on Wikipedia, which was last week, when you commented on some of our podcast episodes.
101 million.
Yeah.
Was the Wii sales total.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that in there as some context to understand that we already see that
the effect it's having.
We already see there's demand for this, and it seems that Nintendo consistently is coming out with these more innovative approaches to consoles since the Wii and the Wii U having the gamepad that was very unique, very different.
Yeah.
We're still seeing this innovation, and we don't know exactly the numbers, but it does seem like a good sign.
I am excited. In comparison to the 3DS, I'm excited that this is the capacitive touch versus the resistive touch. So that means it has multi-point, and it's something people are familiar with. Every mobile device that you have is capacitive touch. So it'll be more intuitive for people
to use.
To just use it immediately.
Multiple fingers and things.
Yeah.
Sombra.
Overwatch.
So I have a lot more. I just want to say that I'm excited for the Switch. I'm not going to buy it on release because I don't do that with systems for the most part. But it is a cool little thing, cool little console. They do mention that we want people to understand that it's more of a home console that you can take on the go as opposed to an on the go console that you can play at home.
TV. Yeah.
They've been saying that over and over again. Even in the conference itself, they said console,
right.
not handheld. So they want people to understand that it is this. Now, I've seen reports that when it's docked, it has 1080 resolution, and when it's handheld, it has 720 resolution. So there's a little difference there. But I don't know what else happens when it's docked other than it charges and transfers to the TV.
I don't know if that's a limitation of the screen or an effort to preserve battery life.
Probably both, I would say.
But the screen itself is 6.2 inches.
There you go.
And 720 built-in screen. The battery life ranges from 3.5 hours to 6.5 hours and can be charged while in handheld mode. So that's nice. You can charge while playing in handheld.
So you can just sit next to a plug at somebody's house and you can play, which I think that sounds interesting.
There is some bad news. 32 gigs of internal memory, standard. But there is expandable memory, but that's only through micro SD.
Now, is it 36 gigs before 32. Counting the operating system that's on it? Or is that with operating system?
I have no idea.
I don't know what that means.
My PS4 is 500 gigs, and that's not counting the operating system.
Yeah.
Because when it's completely empty, it's 460. So with this, that's the worst news.
I mean, again, so this kind of goes back to the price point. $300, you're going to give us 36 gigs. Expandable, right? Up to 2 terabytes, we saw.
Yeah, so there's a report that there's 2 terabyte micro SD cards. They're just not available for purchase yet.
Yeah.
But the Switch can handle that. So the Switch is available.
The hardware is capable of doing up to that, which would be more than enough.
Yeah.
You don't need 2 terabytes.
I exclusively do digital downloads anymore. So it's good to hear that I can handle that, but
36 gigs is like one game. One big game. It's
like how good are micro SD cards at running, transferring data, as opposed to like a disc or as opposed to an HDD or SDD.
So expert. So that's why I'm disappointed. Like I would want the internal memory to be faster because I imagine it's got a higher bandwidth port. I mean, it's got to have like some kind of solid state drive in there, which is super fast. So I am curious to see. So that'll depend on the micro SD card you buy and on what the reader is.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it was slower than a disc.
I was going to say, most solid state anything is going to be faster than a disc. Unless you get like a really, really fast disc.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll still probably be faster than a disc, but buying a 2 terabyte, SD card that also has X bits per second transfer speed is going to be a lot of money.
I saw $200.
Yeah, it's probably going to be more. Yeah, I was going to say it might be as much as the console or more.
That's a $500 console right there.
If they don't even sell them yet.
For comparison, I've had my Wii U forever, and it's got like 10 actual Wii U games on it, and then like maybe like 5 virtual console games, and I think my Wii U's it's a Wii U Deluxe.
So,
yeah. So I think it's 250.
Big spender.
I think it's like 250 gigs internal, and then I just recently got a USB for the back, and so 32 gigs will probably get, depending on the game. Like, so for example, Xenoblade Chronicles was like enormous.
Right.
So
big RPG.
That's a bad example.
Hundreds of hours. Yeah.
But I imagine games like Mario. And
well, you said Breath of the Wild takes up half of that.
Yeah,
already.
I think I read a report that said that Breath of the Wild on the Switch would take up 40% of the initial internal storage on the Wii Switch or not the Wii Switch, Nintendo Switch.
Interesting.
Get the Wii out of there.
Get it out.
I don't know, but like 1-2 Switch is
not going to be that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is. I think it is relative, definitely.
For sure.
I mean, you can just look at when I buy PlayStation Store games, they're like 1.8 gigs, and then I put in The Witcher, and it's like 32 gigs.
Yeah.
So it completely depends on the game.
So what this says to me is, so what I am actually most excited about of all the partners they've revealed is actually Unity, which is not a game production company, but a game engine for developers, and it's pretty easy to step into. I did a project using it in college. So that means a lot of like more indie games, which I'm personally excited about. I saw a list that said like Stardew Valley's coming out, and I love Stardew Valley.
Yeah, you do.
So things like that, and those indie games are always super small.
Right.
Like when you download them on Steam, they're like, this will take up 700 kilobytes. Do you have enough room for this?
And you're like, what's that?
Go ahead.
Kilobyte.
I do on my PS4. I don't know if I do on my Switch.
Right. So, what this says to me is I'm probably gonna have to buy the physical copies of like the Nintendo titles and then just use those 32 gigs for like the indie games I want to download from the eStore.
Yeah. So I saw. So the games themselves are using like micro SD card. Obviously, it's not a disc. The only disc you'd fit in one of these is like a GameCube disc.
Yeah.
Which, if I could play a GameCube disc on it, that would be awesome.
Melee.
Yeah. But lost my train of thought. Never mind.
It's because I brought up Melee.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
So let's talk about the controllers itself, the Joy-Con controllers.
Yeah.
Before we talk about more prices for things. So my little Joy-Con controller featurette. The first thing. Well, they quoted that the battery will last on those things for 20 hours when they're off the Switch system itself, which is incredible.
That's so much time. Really good time.
Yes.
I wonder how long it'll stay that way, like durability-wise.
Yes.
I know my PlayStation 4 controller had a really good battery life when I first bought it, and like my very first one that I had now lasts like an hour off the charge because it's so old.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
I wonder what the longevity of it is. But anyway, it's 20 hours. Sounds really good.
That's a lot of time.
It is.
So they'll be charged when they're connected to the Switch platform. Not only when they're on the Switch itself, but also when it's docked, and vice versa.
But not to the holder that they slide into. That's something else that I was disappointed with.
The lasso? The little...
No. So you put them together to make one controller.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they sell one that charges them, but the one that comes with the Switch
it's just a dock.
It's just a physical thing to hold.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with that.
So yeah, so they have that. Also, the charging grip, as you just talked about, that's retailing for $30. Yeah. I assume for 2 because you have 2 Joy-Con controllers, but I honestly don't know if it's 1 or 2. So that will go on to the Joy-Con itself, and it'll have the L and R buttons that also charge it. Which, if you ask me, sounds completely unnecessary. Because if it charges every other way, why would you need that? Why would you spend $30 for that? Maybe someone will show me why. There is an HD Rumble Pack. They talked for like 5 minutes about how good this HD Rumble Pack is with a glass of water.
Oh, nice.
Remember on the presentation? You can feel the ice cubes in the glass, and you can feel how many ice cubes, and you can see if there's water and stuff in it.
If it's that precise, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
That's a little bit of a feat.
So that'll be awesome in a little thing like that. The right Joy-Con controller will have an IR gesture sensor, and they said it's good enough to...
Infrared,
good enough to see like rock, paper, and scissor hand motions, which...
That's pretty impressive.
All right. I mean, that's cool. I guess it is. I guess cool. With little phalanges and little different details like that.
Phalanges!
That is pretty cool.
That's a fun word.
And the right one also has an Amiibo reader. The left one has a capture button, very similar to the share feature on PS4. And then both of them obviously have motion controls, like the Wii controller.
Yeah, if you paid attention to Twitter that day, you saw lots of cows getting milked with these controllers.
Yeah, I did.
I don't know if you guys saw that. I literally, the first time I saw it, started laughing. I was in class and I was like looking at Twitter. I started laughing. Oh man, it was good. It was a good one.
So
new esport, I think so.
Yes. I know Nintendo's pretty notorious for being gimmicky. So a lot of these features, I think, for 90% of gameplay aren't going to matter. But I'm curious to see like not only what Nintendo does, but again, like the third-party, like independent developers that make these little party games, especially with like the potential to have 8 people playing at once. Like what they can think, like what's a fun game they could think of that uses like IR and 2 buttons and a joystick, you know.
Sure.
So the cool thing about the Switch, I think, is that the Joy-Con controller, if you're holding it, it's like a rectangle. You're holding it like normal on the Switch. The top buttons, there's what I'm familiar with, an R1, L1,
triggers, right.
and 2 trigger buttons. But also when you take that off the dock, there's the 2 buttons on the side. So if you think about it, each Joy-Con controller has more buttons than any other version of any other gaming console we've seen. So each one of them has the face buttons, and it has the directional buttons, and it has the analog stick, but also has shoulder button, trigger button, and 2 buttons on the side. Plus, that one has a share button, the left one has a share button, and there's a plus and minus button on top. So there's even more to do, because the thing is so small, you play with one hand, you have the analog stick, so if it's my right hand, you have the analog stick, you have A, B, X, Y, 2 triggers, and then 2 things on the side that would just fit perfectly with my middle finger and ring finger. So there's even more button combinations.
Buttons everywhere.
That's right. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Flight simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about prices for accessories?
Sure.
Everyone's favorite topic.
Let's dive into it, because I mean, we up to this point we've established that maybe $300, a little steep for 36 gig hard drive, for 32 gig hard drive. Sorry, I was giving them some grace. 32 gig hard drive for no game. What are we looking at for expanding upon our base console?
Okay, so I don't have any prices for micro SDs.
Okay.
Because those range from whatever.
Yeah.
The Pro controller, which is not the Joy-Con controllers, it's just a standard, very similar to an Xbox One controller.
Yeah, when my girlfriend saw this, she said, is that an Xbox controller?
And you said yes.
And I said, yep, pretty much.
That retails for $70, which is already $10 more expensive than any other controller on the market. Any other standard controller. So PS4, sure. I was just at Costco today.
I mean, they're like
PS4 is like $50.
Yeah.
And the Xbox One, I assume, is around $55, if not $60. So that's already more expensive. That's the cheapest thing you can buy. The Joy-Con controllers, to get another pair, is going to be $80. If you want to buy one individually, it's $50.
Like just the right hand or the
just the right hand or the left hand. But make sure you get the right one. Obviously, make sure you get the correct one, because the right one has IR, it has Amiibo. The left one has the share button. Don't get 2 lefts. You can't use 2 lefts.
Well, plus the right one, like the joystick is down, so that's weird too.
Yeah. So that's already super expensive. So another Switch TV dock, which includes the dock, the charging cable, and another HDMI cord, is $90. So if you have 2 TVs in your house,
you can just move your console.
You can move your console, cool. Which is one of the coolest parts.
That is really
However,
cool.
that moving is $90.
That's not $90 cool.
That's like the PlayStation had that PlayStation TV where you could like stream your console to another TV in the house. It was like $90, and I was like,
was it?
No,
thanks.
Actually, it was 120 at first, and then it dropped to 90, and I almost bought it, and I was like, still no, that's too much still.
So the dock is super cool, and I wish if there was an HDMI output on the Switch itself, I wouldn't need a dock, obviously. You could just go from TV to TV, just have an extra HDMI cord. But the idea of just sticking it in one TV, I'm downstairs and my parents are upstairs sleeping, I'm going to go take this down to the basement so they can't hear me killing things on Zelda. So it's quieter or whatever. Yeah. It's cool to just pick that up and switch it and move it, but again, not $90 cool.
Yeah, see, for me, I would just play it on the Switch, because that's what I did when I was living with my parents on the Wii U, is they would watch This Old House or whatever else, and I would just
HGTV.
Yeah,
that's what Housewives.
And
CSI.
I would just play on the little screen, and that was good enough for me. Yeah. So, I mean, now with like games like with first-person shooters coming, people aren't going to be happy with 720.
Yeah,
so
of course.
For those people, another dock might be worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can buy Joy-Con wheels for Mario Kart. You buy them pairs of 2, and that's only $15. So that's something that I 100% support. That's super cheap for 2 wheels.
Yeah.
$15, that's awesome. That's like the only pricing they did right.
You just stick the controller into the wheel.
like a Wiimote.
Oh, yeah, I remember
a Wiimote
those.
wheel.
Yeah.
I have a student at school who only uses the Wiimote wheels to play Smash 4.
Oh.
Or Smash 4. No,
understand.
Brawl. I don't know. He loves to. I don't know. It's like his thing. He's like, if I don't have the wheel, I lose.
So everyone has a thing, I guess. Does he win with the wheel?
I mean, he didn't.
Or is he losing?
He didn't beat my homeroom, but they thought they did.
Yeah. So the prices are kind of outrageous, especially with the fact that the Joy-Cons are so small. I feel like people are going to lose those super easily. Depending on who this is marketed to, I don't know. If it's marketed to families, you have like young kids, those things are gone.
Mm-hmm.
You got to buy another one for $50, another 2 for $80 or $90. $80.
It's pretty expensive. And these blah blah blah. These are the initial prices. So we may see these come down in a year.
You hope so.
Or 2 years. I mean, I would hope so. I would think we would see, and then you can also get. I mean, as a gamer representing underpaid gamers. Like, we can get them used for cheaper than that, probably. And that'll be nice. But unless I'm not going to buy them at those prices. Like, if I do get it, I'm going to wait. I'm going to get it secondhand. I'm going to get it at, like, a secondhand gaming store.
I'm probably going to get mine with, like, game exclusives. Right? Because, like, when Skyward Sword came out, there's, like, the special special golden Wii. Like, that's probably how I'm going to get my extra controllers.
Oh, yeah. I gotcha. So, speaking of games, most games retail at $60, except again for 1-2 Switch, which is going to be $50. Which again, I think
$10. Like, seriously, go down to $40 or don't even.
Ratchet and Clank, $40 was in contention for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Do you think 1-2 Switch is going to be in contention for Game of the Year for anybody?
Probably not.
No, and it's $50. But 1-2 Switch, for anybody that doesn't know, it has a lot of different things. They showed it as like 2 cowboys standing off and shooting each other. But the coolest thing about this and the future for Nintendo and gaming in general is that all the action takes place off the screen. So you're doing it against another person off screen in your house.
Which could be fun for like party games.
Yeah, which could be. I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's outside of the screen, wholly party games, which I think is a very interesting for the future of the game and of the Switch itself. And that's another way that the Switch and Nintendo are innovating. They're taking. So even with like Pokemon Go, like that's outside of the house, that's outside of the screen somewhat. This is outside of the screen, and you can take the Switch now outside the house too.
I'm really excited. So honestly, my like gut reaction was a little like, this is kind of silly, but the more I thought about it, the more I was excited for 1-2 Switch. The 2 reasons being that
Mm-hmm.
I like party games that are kind of interactive. Just you guys right like at my New Year's Eve party, the Jackbox whatever
TV,
is on, and getting like a whole bunch of people playing one game together, and it's not hardcore, like anyone can just step up and play it.
Right.
It doesn't take a gaming background, and I really like that. But I also like micro games, like these real quick, just like less than a minute games,
like Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Yeah, and like when we were in high school, we played WarioWare Smooth Moves.
Oh yeah, those are so much fun.
Yeah, and those games were like less than 10 seconds past the controller. And so if this is like that, I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think we need to talk about this.
Here we go.
My mother beat me at Wii Boxing, and I never went back.
What?
The first time I ever played, it was the first time she ever played. She beat me at Wii Boxing. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this.
You were tired.
So I might have the same issue with 1-2 Switch.
So you like Ronda Rousey right now?
Yeah.
Hey-o.
I mean, this was like years ago, but
Okay.
yeah.
So you're not going to buy ARM.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it is just Wii Boxing 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. ARMS next is a competitive game. I didn't see any cooperative aspects of it. So it's a motion controlled fighting game, which is the first kind of we've ever seen a motion controlled fighting game. So it's not about the buttons, it's not about the sticks, it's about moving your arms and punching with your arms. And I assume whoever punches fastest or has the. I mean, it's not a skill based.
I mean, there's probably a recharge, so like your fist can come back, you know.
I mean, there's timing involved with it, and I saw blocking involved in it, and then like
Jumping and
going
stuff
side
like
to side, kind of like dashing.
So it's a 3-dimensional fighter,
Sure.
but it's motion controlled
Yeah.
as opposed to button controlled, which is also another way that they're innovating,
Yeah,
which is cool. No mention of Smash, their largest fighting game,
I know.
I would say.
I would guess that would come out next year.
Well, Brawl came out pretty late in the Wii U cycle, didn't it? So.
Or the Wii cycle.
Brawl came out pretty early.
Sorry, Smash 4.
Yeah. Smash 4 came out pretty late in the Wii U's life cycle, didn't it? Like,
I'm not sure.
It was
like a year after at least.
Yeah. So I would have been surprised, especially with them like pumping out DLC for a little bit after.
Sure.
I'd be surprised if they're like, and it's ready now.
Yeah.
I would have been surprised.
I don't know. There's a big Smash tournament coming up next weekend, Genesis 4. If they announced Smash for the Wii U at Genesis 4, I'll blow my
That'd be
freaking
crazy.
lid.
Calling it ARMS characters are going to be in the next Smash Brothers.
Yeah, dude. That's what I'm like.
That's the
this would
first
be
thing.
Sick.
That's the first thing I thought when I saw those game characters.
And
Like, these guys are going to be on
Splatoon
Smash.
They have to build up for the Smash franchise.
Yeah, they have to add. I mean, you can't just put out another Smash, I guess, without any other characters. So now they have Splatoon people. They have
ARMS.
characters.
They probably have Breath of the Wild Link now.
I honestly
Change the skin.
Yeah, I guess.
More Fire Emblem characters.
Hopefully. One can only hope.
More Japanese guys
Although
with swords.
they already have more Fire Emblem characters than any other character.
They need to.
the games.
They need to chill with that.
But I mean, I love Fire Emblem.
Bring back Sonic.
We love Fire Emblem.
I love Fire Emblem.
So we're about it. So Splatoon 2, or as I like to call it, Splatoon,
Nice.
So much fun.
is releasing in summer of 2017. It's not even
Yeah.
release game.
And Rhyme also is coming out, which looks really cool. Kind of like a puzzle game, very artistically minded. I think it looks cool.
Artistic styling plays into Nintendo's hand, especially at 720p.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like starting with Wind Waker
Yeah, exactly.
and onward,
Wind
like
Waker
that
was a good
plays
decision.
into their hand to do that.
Yeah, they can't compete with
like
the graphical
ultra-realistic
fidelity of
graphics.
Battlefield 1 and
Sure.
Call of Duty sometimes. So they have to do their artsy fartsy
Yeah,
extra stuff.
that's true.
So these were all the games that are kind of announced there, and then I also have a list of all the games that are coming out within the next year. So Super Mario Odyssey is coming out holiday of 2017, not a release game by any sense of the means, not even the summer holiday, which I assume is November,
Yeah.
which is 8 months after it is released,
Yeah,
which is a
so-
long. That's
We can't consider that a release game.
no, not at all. That's barely in the same year. However, Super Mario Odyssey looks incredible. That looks like so much fun. So when I was watching, I'm like, oh, this is Mario in the city. I love the city landscape.
Sure.
And they switched to not city. I'm like, nah, I'm not about it anymore. Go back to the city.
That's really interesting. I had the opposite reaction.
Did you?
I thought it was super weird to see like itty bitty Mario next to like full size.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't understand that.
Because it kind of like this whole time we like, oh, that's the art style, but turns out like
It's not the art style.
Mario's just a weird person.
Yeah.
So
they changed the canon with that a little bit. But I do love city aspects of things. I love being in cities and video games. So I was super excited for that. And then they went out and they did the artsy stuff, and they showed it all. And there was some good stuff with that. I've never really played a Mario game. I never played Super Mario 64. I never played... I mean, I've done some of the side-scrolling stuff, of course, but I haven't played Mario Sunshine. I haven't played Mario Galaxy 1 or 2 or anything like that.
I think this looks super fun. The last one I played was Galaxy 1, and I enjoyed it. And
Yeah, that one was a big success.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Game of the year from a lot of different publishers.
So if this is a game... I don't know how the Switch works. I assume there's going to be a sleep feature and an off feature. I hope you can just put it to sleep mode, like if I'm on a plane
And just,
I'm
like,
playing and
yeah.
throw it in your backpack, or when they're like,
With like much less battery drain, and then you can just pick it up exactly where you left off.
yeah,
Like turn it off sleep mode, just like
like the
closing
3DS.
the 3DS.
Exactly. That's what I want, and that's in my opinion, that's what it needs for it to be successful.
For the mobile.
Super Mario Odyssey would be awesome. Something like that. Just if you're on a bus, play it for 20 minutes on the bus ride, then put it in your backpack and go wait till lunch and then play it again.
Yeah.
With this being a holiday release, this may be like Switch with a game package.
Yeah.
That's
the bundle
that we're waiting for.
You would hope so, but again, they would probably bundle it for like $330. They get $30 off the game because there's no way they're going to drop the price in 8 months. Would you think? Unless it doesn't sell at all.
I guess it depends if it continues to be sold out for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
it'll be that price.
Then it'll be that. Yeah. But if it gets to be like July and they like just sitting on shelves, it might be cheaper. Who knows?
They announced Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which they announced a long time ago, but they announced that
they shifted
a release title.
The date again, right?
Yeah.
They had original date, shifted it back, then shifted it back to the original again.
Yeah. So that's where that is. So we talked about that a little bit before. It still looks incredible. Still looks super good. It's an open world RPG. So Skyrim is releasing much later. They don't want to get that confused. And of course, you want to have your own Nintendo properties before third-party properties. But we'll talk about that a little bit.
I'm super excited for this one. Did you guys see the packages? So there's like a deluxe that's like $100, I think, and it comes with like a sleeve for the Switch that's got like a Zelda pattern on it, which is kind of cool since it's supposed to be.
It's like a microfiber.
Yeah, kind of.
I would assume.
And maybe it's hard shell. I would hope it's hard shell if I'm putting it in my backpack.
I want to get scratched.
Yeah, and it comes with like a cloth map of the game, which is pretty cool. And then there's like the Masters Deluxe, which is the exact same thing, but it's like it comes with a Master Sword statuette. So.
Kind of cool. Put that on my desk.
Oh yeah. No, you won't. You're underpaid.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's that. I'm not buying. I can't afford.
We'll buy the game, but we won't buy the system. We just want the statue.
Yeah, I just want the $100 version.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe
Dun, dun, dun.
is not solely for the Switch. It's a Wii U port with added features.
Yeah, I was not happy.
So that's frustrating.
Right.
It's also not coming out until April 28th.
Yeah.
So not even with release.
So Mario Kart's fun, but come on, Mario Kart 9, let's go.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah,
You hear about that?
Yeah, it looks super fun. I actually was like about to buy Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and never pulled the trigger on it. There were some other games that came out at the same time. I think instead of that, I ended up with... I don't remember. I bought something else instead, but it does look super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother played it and he loved it. He loved the crap out of that game.
The only release info I have on that is that it's sometime in 2017.
Yeah.
Not fall or summer or anything like that, just sometime.
I mean, I've seen the trailer for it. Looks cool. But
Yeah. A lot of walking in the trailer I saw.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem Warriors. So we've talked about Fire Emblem a little bit. No release date, but there is going to be a Nintendo Direct on January 28th, which is solely for Fire Emblem. So we'll get more information on this Fire Emblem Warriors. We'll get more information on the Fire Emblem mobile game that they're making.
Oh.
So they're making a mobile game,
Dun, dun,
which I've been looking forward to for a long time. I download at least once a month a Fire Emblem-like mobile game.
Yeah.
And it's never as good.
It's never the same.
Yeah.
So Fire Emblem Warriors, I don't know if it's been confirmed or not. I would assume it is very similar to Hyrule Warriors, which is very similar to Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah.
Which Dinosaurs is fun.
Literally, that's a big letdown for me.
Right.
If they announce a Zelda game, I want it to be a Zelda-like game, not a Hyrule Warriors game. If they announce a Dragon Quest game, I don't want it to be Dragon Quest Heroes. I want it to be Dragon Quest, because that was also the same. If they announce a Fire Emblem game...
Yeah, so if this interferes with like the release cycle of other Fire Emblem games, that makes me upset. If it doesn't, I'm just not going to buy it. It doesn't bother me. If you are a person who likes Dynasty Warriors and Hyrule Warriors, this is probably very exciting, but I'm not one of those people.
So there's so many characters in every Fire Emblem game.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Like, what are you going to put into Fire Emblem Warriors? Like, obviously you have Marth, you have Roy,
Hector,
you have all these people from Smash, I would assume. I would be super ticked off if they didn't have Ross, my favorite Fire Emblem character of all time, from Sacred Stones.
I mean, he's pretty good.
Are they going to have Villager?
Yeah, right?
Strongest character in the game! Let's go.
Donnie.
Don.
Who do I want?
Donnie.
Donald was from Fire Emblem Fates, was Donald.
Hawkeye was one I thought was super cool when I first got the very first US release game. I thought he was cool, but
yeah, Lynn, right?
Lynn's got to be in
Lynn's
there.
one. The character from Fire Emblem Fates, Awakening. The main character?
This is going to be the rest of the podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not surprised that this isn't like a core Fire Emblem game since the last one just came out like in February.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they released the other one that was like a Shin Megami Tensei crossover. So, I don't know. A lot of Fire Emblem crossovers that I'm not really interested in. I just want tactical combat. That's all I want.
Yes. That's what hopefully we get in a mobile game. If the mobile game, I don't know anything about it. If it's like $10, $15, I'm down. Like, I'm getting that. That's going to be so awesome.
There you go.
Even though my phone kind of sucks and it's very small. I'm getting it.
There you go.
Octopath Traveler is the Square Enix JRPG.
Yeah.
Again, with no release date. No year, no anything. It just showed it.
They did show it.
So they showed the Square Enix logo, and you're like, oh, that's awesome, and then...
You know, I still think, though, like, granted, it's not, like, a full-blown Square Enix game. It did look cool to me. Like, the 2D, while I did, like, take a crap on it earlier, it kind of looked cool, the way that they approached it. And the art style that they showed made me think of Tactics.
Ooh, yeah.
The art style. So, you know, I really didn't get anything out of it other than this is an RPG. So, I think we'll just know more about that later.
That'd also be a great game to have a sleep function for.
Yeah, for sure.
What were you going to say something?
Yeah, I want this. It plays into their hand again to have a like
indie looking.
Yeah, low graphical intensity game that has good gameplay and.
Hopefully that's a 6.5 hour battery life game, not a 3.5.
Yeah.
Let us hope.
That'd be awful. Skyrim is officially announced for fall of 2017, although it needs to be clarified that it's not special edition Skyrim. It is Skyrim from 2011.
So it doesn't have...
It doesn't have mods, which I think is obvious with a 32 gig micro SD card.
You don't have room for mods.
You don't have room for that. But also it's the oldest game in existence.
Yeah, I don't know who's excited about this except for Bethesda. Like, anyone who wants Skyrim has Skyrim.
Right.
And probably has it on 2 consoles already.
Yeah, especially now the special edition just came out.
I wasn't even convinced to buy the special edition for PlayStation 4. I was like, I already put, my 100+ hours on my PC when this game came out.
Yeah.
A long time ago. I played this game, I'm done with it. I don't know why we keep releasing these games.
But now you can play it in the bathroom.
I want new original content. Bethesda.
Elder Scrolls 6.
I want Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh, I'm going to be so excited.
Just get rid of that stupid online game. Stop pouring your time into that. Okay, I'm speaking directly to you guys. Give me Elder Scrolls 6.
Todd Howard.
Take me back to Daggerfall or something. Come on now. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess as, like, established lifelong gamers, we are perhaps neglecting that there's, like, a generation of gamers. This may be their first console. This may be their first opportunity to play Skyrim. But that's got to be such a small percent of the population.
Right. Maybe, but if on the PS3, Skyrim ran horribly.
It did.
The bigger your save got. Sure. And PS3 had not huge, but it had a big storage. How is that going to run on a Switch?
I'm sure it's been optimized.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, you would think it'd be optimized.
Game, I mean, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
It's been 5 years ago, but have they been working on the Switch version of that for 5 years, or just like the last 6 months?
I don't know. I just gotta think that a 2011 game is not gonna make.
Dude, Nintendo probably came to Bethesda and they're like, "Hey, can we have Skyrim?" And Todd Howard's like, "Yeah, have this old game that we don't sell anymore. Like, definitely have this,
please.
Like, I'll make you copies.
More money.
You'll give me money."
Yep.
Also announced is Dragon Quest 10 and 11, FIFA, and NBA 2K. Dragon Quest is only announced for Japan, and I'm very sad.
No.
Until it's announced for the US.
But it's not region locked, so you can play it.
Yeah, but I don't speak Japanese.
So you just gotta find a version of it that's. Yeah, I don't know.
So I have a graphic here that shows release dates for games. So for launch day, there is 5 games for March 3rd. Zelda Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Switch,
Check.
Skylanders.
Oh, nice.
Just Dance.
Nice.
2017.
Again.
And then Super Bomberman R. And to go along with that, Colin Moriarty from Kind of Funny Games. He used to be an IGN editor. Made a list of what games are coming out that are new versus what games came out to previous consoles before. So 1-2 Switch is obviously new. That game that I never pronounced correctly.
Disgaea 5.
Disgaea 5 came to PS4 in 2015, so that's going to be 2 years old. Has Been Heroes is new. I Am Setsuna came to PS4 and Vita in 2016, so you can play it on 2 other places. Just Dance 2017 came out in 2016. The new Tetris game came out in 2014. That's going to be 3 years old already.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Rayman Legends was announced, came out in 2013.
Yeah.
Skylanders Imaginators came out to consoles in 2016. Snipper Clips, which is new for Nintendo. Steep came to PS4 and Xbox One in 2016. That's a Ubisoft AAA game. Super Mario Man R is new, and then Zelda Breath of the Wild, of course, is still new, but also coming to the Wii U. So there's not a lot of stuff that is urging people to buy this.
Exclusively Switch. And I mean, really, when you're buying the console at launch, you're not buying it for the exclusive games. You're buying it for the mobile aspect of the game, of the console itself.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's a strong... Besides their own intellectual property, that's not a real strong release.
You know, and looking at these games, I'm looking at this and saying, like, I want maybe 2 of these games, but...
What 2?
So I want...
Zelda?
I want Zelda, like, 100%. I want Switch, and...
1-2 Switch?
Yeah, 1-2 Switch, and I kind of want Bomberman, because Bomberman requires a joystick and a button, so it sounds like such a good thing for, like, 8 players.
Yeah. And Bomberman's super fun to play against people.
That's
a great competitive, cooperative game type.
But looking at this, it seems like a lot of people are going to want 1 or 2 of these, people with different game tastes than me, right? So I don't want Just Dance, but there's, like, a group of people that are like, oh, I love Just Dance.
Sure.
And if they don't have it already, this might be your...
How does Just Dance work? Don't they need an eye to, like, read their movement?
Not if you got motion controls.
Not if you got motion controls.
Right.
I wasn't sure.
Right, and there's another sect of gamers who are really big into, like, the figures. So people who are, like, the Skylander people, they're going to be super excited for that. This is a reason for them to buy the Switch. So this looks to me like covering a lot of bases for a lot of different types of gamers.
Yeah, so that's just March 3rd launch date. There's also games coming out in March. Ai at Setsuna was the Japanese RPG.
Yeah.
It's also discounted on PSN right now, if you're looking for it. Snipper Clips looks like a hair cutting game. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's like Cut the Rope.
It's a co-op game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I Am Setsuna, again, Has Been Heroes. I don't know anything about. Those are coming in March. In April, the only thing announced so far is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is a port from Wii U.
Which is, again, I just want a new Mario Kart game. I want new courses.
Yeah. I mean, does the Mario Kart 8 has a lot of courses, right? Does it have like 64?
It has a lot, yeah.
Because Mario Kart for Wii has 16.
See, but I went out of my... I bought Mario Kart 8.
Maybe not. 32.
You've played the crap out of it.
I went out of my way to get the DLC that I paid for, and now they're just pushing it out again.
Yeah.
All that's included. Please give me $60 more.
Yep.
I know that there's going to be some new courses, and there's like the enhanced battle mode, but I want a new game.
Yeah.
So.
Who plays battle mode? Do you play battle mode?
I have played battle mode.
I can't ever get anybody to play battle mode on Mario Kart. They just want to race.
That's the why.
That's Mario Kart, right? I would play Mario Smash Brothers if I wanted to fight you.
So spring of 2017, this is coming out at the very end of the first quarter. So spring is kind of halfway through the second quarter.
Sure. Is
ARMS, and then the new Tetris game, Puyo Tetris, because we still need places to play Tetris on.
Well, it seems like a pretty easy way to do like the battle Tetris, right? So,
I guess.
Yeah.
That's true.
Rhyme and Splatoon 2 we talked about coming in summer 2017. In fall of 2017 is Elder Scrolls Skyrim, not Special Edition. Holiday of 2017 is Super Mario Odyssey, and then just in 2017 in general, before they get delayed, is going to be Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Street Fighter 2, Minecraft, FIFA, Sonic Mania, Steep, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Disgaea 5, and NBA 2K.
They're really hitting me in nostalgia with that Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, right?
I have it on Sega Genesis. I mean, that is the only game that I've hooked up my Sega Genesis to play in the last year.
Oh, really?
I mean, I've only done it once, and it was for Street Fighter 2. Friend comes over, wants to challenge me, take him out. Because I still know all the combos for Ryu and Ken and Guile. Oh, man. Yeah, so that's like the only thing in that list I'm really excited for. Because Minecraft's been out forever.
Yeah.
I don't care about FIFA. Disgaea, I don't care about. I know some people, my brother like freaks out about Disgaea. He loves it. It's kind of like a tactics game. Yeah, I mean, you might actually like it, since you like tactic combat. So it's similar. But
so far, the games announced are not that great. They don't have anything.
There's not a lot of AAA like big time stuff besides what Nintendo can do, which is the same complaint that I would have about Wii U.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the Nintendo console doesn't attract third-party developers at a rate that's even anywhere close to Sony or to Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I mean, obviously, there's the power differences in the consoles. And I wonder if just gaming companies are like, they're being innovative, and that's cool, but let's make it easy on us, bro.
Yeah. So from a developer side, you gotta look at the size of the market, right? So if you go to the app store on Mac, it's loaded.
Huge, right.
Yeah, because that's where people go to buy things on Mac. But if you go to like the Windows Store, it's so much smaller because no one on Windows goes to the Windows Store to buy anything.
That's true.
They use the internet.
They go to Steam.
Right.
I was looking for a Windows Movie Maker, and I guess it doesn't work on Windows 10.
Oh.
Which is frustrating.
Dun, dun, dun.
It was very frustrating.
I bet.
I saw so apparently Eurogamer said that the Switch is going to have a Sun and Moon spin-off. Codename
I did hear that.
Pokemon Stars. So I want to see what that looks like.
I assume it's just going to be like the Emerald version, but on this.
I'm curious. So I'm curious. This is like on a console.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, handheld hybrid, I guess. But so it's different, and the fact that they're referring to it as a spin-off instead of just like another version.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if it's going to have different, because they've had other console spin-offs. So like Pokemon Ranger was real big for a little bit, but things like that, I'm curious if it'll be different.
It'll be interesting because they've been upping the graphical fidelity of Pokemon games for the last couple of years to where on Sun and Moon is now you're a 3D person, you're actually like you can control these things and you're out in the wild as opposed to an 8-bit character. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
Tony, is this one step closer to the ultimate Pokemon game
that I talk about all the time?
As referenced in so many podcast episodes before?
I think the Switch is capable of doing it. Again, if they're going to have Skyrim on it. Dragon Quest 11 gameplay looks like it would be that Pokemon game.
Type of Pokemon,
and Dragon Quest 11 is coming to the Switch. So Game Freak just needs to pull the trigger on it and be like, this is what we're doing now. This is a new game type, and I think they'll sell out. I think a game like that with Zelda and Mario would sell out the Switch for the rest of the year.
There you go. See,
for next year.
I'm telling you guys, all these big time developers, they just need to start listening to Underpaid Gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We already rewrote the rest of the Star Wars movies.
Agreed.
We know those are going to be great if they listen to us.
Pokemon. Yeah, our version is great. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. So, I'm just saying, they need to start listening.
There's one more thing about the Switch we need to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Which is their online features.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the disgrace of Nintendo.
So they went ahead and did something which was completely unexpected.
Yep.
And they added online features, which are like, it's a subscription-based service, so it's $5 a month, $60 a year. And with that, you get a friend invite and messaging, things like that. You get you can set appointments, which they were talking about. You can get a free download of an NES or SNES game and discounts on digital media, very similar to Xbox Live,
or PlayStation
very similar
Plus.
to PSN
Plus.
The only issue with this, and it's a big issue, is that it's not hardwired onto the game itself. It's an app for your phone.
What?
Which is very frustrating to me. So they've created their own app, and they have all these features in that app, but that connects to the Wii, or that connects to the Switch, but it's not a part of the Switch. And along with that, you can do friend invite and messaging. You can have party chat, and they say, quote, during online matches, incompatible games. So
it's limiting. It's not like the party chat you see on PlayStation.
Yeah, it's not
or
through.
Xbox.
It's not like back. It's not the back of the system where you can talk no matter what game you're playing.
Sure.
It seems like this is very similar to like you get in a match of Call of Duty or Overwatch and people are chatting with their microphones. That's how I'm perceiving this.
Yeah. Also, the games that you get every month.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
You don't. So I mean, I really feel like PlayStation set the standard, which Xbox followed.
Yeah.
Which of you get this, you pay this fee, which I guess Xbox started the fee thing, right, with Xbox Live. PlayStation entered into doing that with PlayStation 4. But even before then, they started offering, if you got PlayStation Plus, discounts and games of the month that you get to keep in your library as long as you're continually subscribed to the service. So, like, my game library is over 100 games, more than half of which are just PlayStation Plus games.
Because every month they give you 2 or 3 games you can just add to your library, download later.
Exactly.
If you have a PSN.
Yeah.
However, Nintendo.
And Nintendo, they do not allow you...
They don't understand how it works.
They don't allow you to play the game outside the month that it's released. And in my mind, Nintendo has so many... I mean, it's one of the oldest gaming console companies ever. Mm-hmm. They have all these old games that probably they make no money off of, these old titles. They could bring those into modern day by just giving them, like, it's the Nintendo Game of the Month, and it's like Tanks, like some old SNES game that nobody plays anymore. Mm-hmm. That someone might have for fun, like to play for fun, right? Yeah. And you're paying $5 for it, right? Mm-hmm. That's more than what they're going to get for that title just sitting on the shelf, their digital shelf in the back of their
Well, you can play
mansions.
it. You get the Nintendo app and you can play it. You can download it. You can pay the $5 and you play it.
For the month.
I
know. It's just it's lame. It gets me.
It's Redbox.
It is.
I mean, so like.
But you don't get to choose, is the problem. I assume they just give you a game.
Oh.
And it's not like you get to select from a list of games.
I don't like that.
I assume it's just, this is the game of the month. If it's similar to PSN and Xbox. Yeah. This is the game of the month. Download it, play it for the month, and now you're done.
Right. You got Metro Prime. You get it for a month.
But if it's something like Redbox, or if it's like Amazon Prime or something like that, where you can select from a list of games, and the list is comprehensive, you get that for a month, that's cool.
Yeah. I guess that would be better.
If you can select the same game over and over again.
As a tactical combat person, I actually never had like the Advance Wars games.
Oh, Advance Wars is so good.
Right? But I would download those, play through them within the month, and be like, thank you, Nintendo. I'm done with this. You can have it back.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine if it was like a Redbox, like you get to choose. But my impression initially, and why I was so upset, was that this was Nintendo saying, "This is the game of the month," and then you play it for the month, and then goodbye, see you later, never see it again.
Especially Nintendo has like a enormous like backlog of beloved games that young people have never played and that older people miss.
Right, nostalgia.
And so the idea that I could go and like be like, my older brother's always talking about Super Mario 64, but I never got to play it. This is not my story. I played it. Sure. But, I'd be like, I'll go ahead and give it a try. You play it for the month. You're like, that was pretty fun. Free up those several kilobytes off your 32 gig solid state.
Yeah, we keep forgetting about that limitation.
But there's also the Virtual Console. And now they're adding GameCube games to the Virtual Console. So you can buy those games. Yeah. So you get an SNES, NES or SNES game for free for a month, but then you can buy N64 games, you can buy GameCube games. Which is it's very interesting to me how they're figuring this out.
How many GameCube games do you want?
Just one.
Just one.
Melee. Double Dash was fun.
I mean, Double Dash, I didn't have a GameCube, so I assume Pikmin. People said Pikmin was super fun. Luigi's Mansion.
Wind Waker, but they just did the HD Wind Waker.
Yeah, so you already have that.
Fire Emblem.
Dawn? So Breaking Dawn, Dawn Brigade, whatever. I liked the Wii one better.
Really?
More than the GameCube one.
Did you play them both?
Mm-hmm.
I have the Wii one, and I never played the GameCube one. It kind of starts in the middle of the story, and I'm like, this is confusing.
So first of all, unrelated to the Switch, so we'll make it short. They did a real good job with those two stories because we're past the statute limitations. There's no spoilers on this. The second one did a real good job of like presenting like your actions had consequences in the first one.
Oh yeah.
So in the first one you like beat the game, you're like, I'm the good guy, I did it. And then the second game is like, your actions, you didn't clean up when you were done.
Yeah.
And now things are messy.
Oh.
So I thought that was excellent storytelling, by the way.
It's because Fire Emblem was awesome.
Yeah.
One of the best Nintendo properties. Although they've been pushing them out a lot recently.
Yeah. You gotta make that money, man.
Maybe a little bit too much.
Oh.
But
dang. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
That's all I have.
Switch?
Also, they say you can set appointments on your Nintendo app, and I assume that just means push notifications. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm gonna play with my buddies at 7 p.m.
every Thursday, 7 p.m. Yep. Overwatch night. Let's go.
That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honestly not as upset about the phone app. I'm not. I think that's okay.
There's better apps on the phone. So Discord itself is just
you can use.
It's the exact same thing.
It's the same thing.
Except it's free. You don't get a free game, but...
Well, this is... I mean, it's also a good way for Nintendo to market, right? So if you've got the app on your phone and you're in...
Ooh.
You're inevitably be able to link your Nintendo Club account to it, which is like you buy things and it gives you coins, and then you can use those to get discounts and stuff, or little DLC things. You'll be able to link it to that. You'll probably get notifications like, hey, Nintendo subscriber, this month... you can get 50% off of I'm going to dream, are you going to get 50% off of Breath of the Wild? And I'm going to see that on my phone and be like, excellent, please buy. So
the only benefit I can think of this is that if you're on the go, if you're on the bus, you can still have that chat communication through data on your phone as opposed to Wi-Fi.
Okay, yeah.
And you can send invites and messages through data as opposed to Wi-Fi with a Switch, which won't be connected if you're on a bus. But other than that, that's kind of frustrating. But that's all I have on the Switch. Do you have anything on the Switch? Any closing remarks?
I'm excited to see if it convinces me to buy it. You know, I think Breath of the Wild is really attractive to me because it's been a long time since I've played a Zelda game. And I've watched enough trailers and seen enough reviews about its connections to past games and how it references things. I'm pretty excited about Breath of the Wild, and $300 isn't like killing me. Even though we have said this is probably a little bit higher price than it should have compared to like buying an Xbox One new or a PlayStation 4 new, this is still cheaper. So to me, it's a little more approachable in that way. I am not going to buy this when it releases because I'm in the same boat as you. I don't really buy consoles when they first get released, like maybe after some games come out, maybe a few months after. It would be the first time I'd buy it once I see that there's content out that's worth it. But yeah, you know, at this point I am cautiously optimistic. I want to see those third parties get on board or see a really rich indie community as a part of the Switch. If either one of those happens, I'd be happy with the Switch.
Rich?
I am optimistic. So mine is going to be waiting for like some deluxe edition package. I'm going to wait.
A bundled.
Yeah, and like just the collector in me like wants the Switch that has like some kind of graphic printed on it for some reason. And the fact that I'm gonna get a game with it, I'm not gonna buy it right now. I don't have that money just laying around. But I'm excited for it. I'm probably gonna get it. If I didn't have it by 2018, I would personally be surprised. But assuming it's available. My biggest want for the Switch is I hope Nintendo really caters to the indie community. So if you're, I'm making stuff up, if like the first $1 million that your game makes, you get like 80 or 90% of, and that like really pulls,
incentivizes it, yeah.
Yeah, something like that for like a small indie developer gives them a reason to be like, I want to develop for the Switch, and I want to make a really cool 8-player game.
That utilizes all the different features of the controllers.
That for me that's what I want. I want a lot of like indie games.
Yeah, cool.
Coolio.
Well,
thanks for coming out, Rich.
Yeah.
Our
expert.
resident Nintendo expert is what I'm trying to say.
And knows a lot more about software than we do.
Correct.
And a little more about hardware.
A little bit.
Not much.
Yep, how it works.
Wow.
Probably, for sure.
Alrighty.
Cool. Well, I guess that's our segment on
Nintendo Switch. Woo! Alright, thanks for listening to our episode on the Nintendo Switch. Again, you can find us all over the internet. Mostly on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Twitter at UP Gamers Podcast, Instagram, Underpaid Gamers. Email us at underpaidgamerspodcast@gmail.com. We're the official podcast of underpaidgamers.com.
Check it out.
I think there's one more, but I don't know what it is.
You said YouTube.
YouTube, Underpaid Gamers.
Yeah, if you literally Google us, we're like the whole page. So you'll probably find us.
Have you ever been a page on Google before? Because we are.
Yep, check it out. We need to get a Wikipedia page. Dun, dun, dun.
Goals.
Put that on our list.
Goals.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening, guys. See you guys next time!
Wow!